Namaste students. Now in previous session, in yesterday's session, we were discussing about in the last part we discussed about some basic concept. So we already completed some of the basic concept. Those basic concepts are, that is, individual or units. We initially started from individual or units. Individual or units are nothing but the object whose characteristics we are going to study. Which example I have given? I have given the example of we are going to study about the study pattern of one particular class. In that class 70 students are there. I have given the example of in that class 70 students are there. In that 70, each one of are units or individual. Next, one more concept comes, the population or universe. Population or universe means totality of units under consideration. As I said, in a class 70 students are there. So all that 70 students, all units or the total of all the units or the individual, we call it as population. So they are our population or universe. Then comes their concept called, in case of population, there are two types of population, finite population and infinite population. Finite population means where units will be in a finite number. Infinite means where units will be in infinite number. For example, I have given the population. If we take only one particular class of 70 students, means our population is in finite number. If we take the study pattern of the students, those who are studying in India one particular the 11th standard or 12th standard, one particular class if we take, there you will get the infinite numbers. Population will be in an infinite number. Those who are studying in the +1 in the first PUC or 11th standard in India means will get many students. So that is about the finite and infinite population. Then we studied about the sample. Sample is nothing but the part of population or representative units of population. The same example of 70 students if we take, from that if we are taking 10 students as our sample for the purpose of study. So those 10 students we call them as our sample. They represent those 70 students in that class. So that is about sample. Then we come across the topic called quantitative characteristics and qualitative characteristics. The quantitative characteristics, these are the characteristics which are measured in number. The characteristics which are measured in number. The example I have given there, heights and weights of a person. So height and weight, it represents the characteristics of a person, but we represent or we measure in numbers. We can say it in numbers or we can measure in numbers. We are not counting heights and measures. We are measuring heights and weights. Then one more concept called qualitative characteristics. So qualitative characteristics are the characteristics of a person which are not measured in numbers. We are not measuring some of the characteristics in numbers. For example, skin color of a person. We are not measuring. And intelligence of a person. We are not measuring in numbers. So that is qualitative characteristics. So those are the concepts which we studied yesterday, and now by continuing from there some other concepts. Yesterday we studied some of the concepts and still some other concepts are there as a basic concept. So we are continuing from the qualitative. Yesterday we ended with qualitative characteristics. So from there, now here comes variables. Here in today's session we start with variables. It is one of the basic concepts. A quantitative characteristics which varies from unit to unit. You know now what is quantitative characteristics. Quantitative characteristics, that is the characteristics of a person which measured in numbers. Now a quantitative characteristics, variable means it's a quantitative characteristics which vary from unit to unit. Which varies from unit to unit. What example we can give here? The characteristics of a person, the quantitative characteristics of a person which varies means person to person it varies. It will not be similar. It will not be similar to all the people or all the individuals. It varies from person to person. For example, the height. For example, height will vary from person to person. The one person will be 5.1, other person will be 5.7. So it varies. Even one more characteristics of a person, that is weight. It will not similar for all the individual. It will vary from person to person. Someone will be 60 kg, other one will be 55 kg, other person will be 70 kg. So there is difference between one person to another person in case of height as well as weight. This can be the best example for which one? Variables. Variable is a qualitative characteristics which varies from person to person or unit to unit. Next consider attributes. Attributes are qualitative characteristics. Sorry, this is quantitative characteristics. Qualitative characteristics which varies from person to person. These are the qualitative characteristics. The characteristics which we cannot measure in numbers. These are the characteristics of a person which varies or which change from person to person. Which example we can give? The example of same example qualitative characteristics. Which example we have given? The skin color. The skin color of a person. Then intelligence. So these are the characteristics which we are not measured in numbers, but this differ from person to person. The one person's skin color is of a dark complex, and one other person will be fair, and other person will be very fair. So it differs from person to person. Even intelligence, it differ from person to person. So such kind of characteristics which differ from person to person. Such kind of the qualitative characteristics means characteristics which we are not measured in numbers, which differ from person to person. Such kind of characteristics we call it as attributes, variables and attributes. Next comes the discrete variable. What is that discrete variable? In case of variables, that is discrete variable, and one more is continuous variable. Discrete variable is a variable which assumes only specified values within the given range. A variable which assumes only specified values in the given range. For example, number of benches in a class, or number of students in a particular class. See, a variable which assumes only the specified values within the given range, means one particular range will be given. And in that range, what available values will be there, that we have to assume. That we call it as discrete variable. For a simpler form, for your understanding, we can take the discrete variables are those variables which we count. Discrete variables are those variables which we count. For example, number of bench will count 1, 2, 3. We are going to count. Number of students we are going to count. So which we count in a given range. A range is given to us. In that range which we are going to count, that we call it as discrete variable. Whereas continuous variables means a variable which assumes all the possible values within a given range. In a given range, that we call it as continuous variable. For example here, weights. Or heights. Now, in a simpler form, which we count, that is discrete variable, and which we measure, we call it as continuous variable. For a simpler sense, if you are not able to understand this definition, discrete variable means which we are counting, which we count in numbers. 1, 2, 3, that we are going to count in numbers, that we call it as discrete variable. And continuous variable means which we are not counting, which we are measuring. Heights, we are not counting a person's height 1, 2, 3, 4. We measure. There is a one certain measurement. Through that we measure. And weight also, there is a person device in order to measure it. We measure that. We are not counting anybody's heights or weights. So which we measure, that is continuous variable, and which we count, that is discrete variable. Which we measure, that is continuous variable, which we count, that is discrete variable. Next one, qualitative data. What is that qualitative data and quantitative data? What is the difference between qualitative characteristics and quantitative characteristics? There is two concepts. One is qualitative data, one is qualitative characteristics. See here, quantitative data. Quantitative data means numerically expressed data. Numerically expressed data. Now, in case of quantitative characteristics, this is data. Quantitative characteristics, what is that? Numerically measured. Numerically measured data, which we measure, that is characteristics, which we express or which we count, that is data. That is data. So you have to use the word here expressed, and in case of characteristics you have to write as measured. The quantitative characteristics are which are measured in numbers, height, weight. The quantitative data which is numerically expressed, these are the data or information which we express in numbers. For example, which example you can give? It is a data, or that is a document, or it is a information. Data means any of the document or any of the information. The document which we present in numbers. For example, marks card. Marks card, it is a document, and this particular document which expressed in numbers, that is called quantitative data. The quantitative characteristics means it is a characteristic of a person which we measure in numbers. Height and weight, these are not a document. Height and weight is not a document. It's a particular person's characteristics which we measure in numbers. So that is characteristics, and these are the documents. Data means information or the document which are expressed in numbers. For example, marks card. Then comes qualitative data. Qualitative data means which are not expressed in numbers or numerically. Which are not expressed in numbers or which are not expressed numerically. And but these are the data. These are the document or these are the data which are not expressed numerically. For example, what example we can give? These are the document or the data. For example, conduct certificate. Conduct certificate of a person. Conduct certificate means his behavior certificate. His behavior certificate, that is a data, but it is not expressed in numbers. Nobody will write this person's behavior is 70% or this person's behavior is 80%. So this will be written in it will be not written in numerically, it will be written in words. So these are the document which are the qualitative data. Or for example, the interview, you will go for interview and they will prepare one data about your interview procedures. They will prepare one data. So that is the data which are not expressed numerically. Or else questionnaire. Sometimes questionnaire will be there. Any of the survey means you will get a set of questions. You have to fill that questions. There might be a question about your personal matters, or there might be a question about your professional matters. So that is a document which are not expressed in numbers. So qualitative data, it is a data which are expressed. Quantitative data is a data which are expressed in numbers. For example, marks card. And the qualitative data is a data or the document which are not expressed in numbers. So the difference between the qualitative characteristics and the data. Characteristics means you have to use the word measure, and data means you have to use the word expressed. Then, if we take quantitative data, anyhow it is expressed in numbers, so it is not necessary we need to have some of the scale of measurement. It is easy to measure, which expressed in number. But in case of qualitative data, it is difficult to measure. So measurement of qualitative data which are not expressed in numbers. What are the measurement? The scale of measurement. There are two scale of measurement in order to measure the qualitative data. That is nominal scale and ordinal scale. What is that nominal scale and ordinal scale? Nominal scale is a number assigned to every unit for identification. See, as I said, qualitative data, it doesn't express in the form of numbers. Means there will not be value for numbers. There might be numbers, but there will not be any value for numbers. See, nominal scale. Nominal scale means, for example, your roll number assigned in your attendance book. Whether the roll number 1, the person who has roll number 1 and the person who has roll number 15, there is no much difference. These numbers are assigned for the purpose of identification. The roll number 1 is this person, roll number 15 is this person. That is according to your alphabet you get your roll number. That is for the purpose of your identification. That is for the purpose of your identification you will get numbers there. That is called nominal scale. And ordinal scale, sometimes ordinal scale means, for example, now in case of you will go for a shop, there will be rice or there will be wheat, and they will say there will be 3 kinds of rices are there, that is first quality, second quality, third quality. There will be a number, but in this number it defines the quality of that particular product. Here number defines the quality of that particular product. The number which has the rice, which has the first number, we say is the good quality. The quality of that particular rice is, it's a good quality rice, and it is not so good quality rice, and it comes last. So it is for the purpose of present it in a ascending or descending order. They give numbers there. So here in this case of ordinal scale, it represents that particular product quality. So here there are 2 scale of measurement in order to measure qualitative data, that is nominal scale and ordinal scale. Nominal scale, they assign the number for the purpose of identification. For example, roll number assigned. For example, roll number assigned to the students in your attendance book. Ordinal scale, they will provide number for the purpose of observation. For the purpose of observation, in order to arrange them in a ascending or descending order. For example, the quality of the product. For example, first, second, third. The first quality product, second quality, third quality. Or else ranks assigned to the students. The first rank holder, second rank holder, third rank holder. That is ordinary scale. Example for ordinary scale. So with this we can wind up with the concept of some basic concept. So here in today's class we studied variable, then attributes, discrete variable, continuous variable, and qualitative data, quantitative data, then the 2 scale of measurement of qualitative data. Now with the basic concept we can wind up with the chapter, the first chapter, that is Introduction to Statistics. Now I would like to revise briefly I would like to revise about that particular chapter. Initially we studied about the introduction part. Initially we studied the introduction to statistics. Introduction to statistics. What was there in introduction? How this concept might have originated, and the word statistics, how it derived from the so many words from different languages. It might be Latin, Germany or Italian, which means a political state. From that particular, which gives the meaning of political state. From that particular word, the word statistics might have derived. And also we know that then we come across the definition of statistics. In case of the statistics, the definition, we divide the definition into 2 heads. There it was, first was plural sense, where we studied Professor Horace Secrist's definition. This definition, then singular sense, where we studied Croxton and Cowden's definition. According to Horace Secrist's definition, that was the plural sense, statistics is an aggregate of facts. Statistics is an aggregate of facts enumerated, estimated according to a reasonable standard of accuracy, affected by a multiplicity of causes and numerically expressed, enumerated and estimated according to a reasonable standard of accuracy, and then collected in a systematic manner for a predetermined purpose and placed in relation to each other. So that plural sense definition, it says the features or characteristics of the statistics, and singular sense, it says about the functions of the statistics, functions of the operation, how it works, operations of the statistics. It says about it is the science of collection, presentation and analysis of the numerical facts and figures. That is about Croxton and Cowden's definition. Then after studying definition, we move towards the features or the characteristics. Features and characteristics. Features or characteristics. Features or characteristics. In that, the first characteristics, that is aggregate of facts. It is the group of facts. Then it is numerically expressed and affected by multiplicity of causes and expressed or enumerated based on reasonable standard of accuracy. Then it is collected in a systematic way and for a predetermined purpose. Then the last one, it should be placed in relation to each other. So that was the features of characteristics. After studying the features, we studied the divisions of statistics. We studied the divisions of statistics or branches. The branches or divisions we divided into two heads, which are the branches. First one, statistical methods. Then one more branch is applied statistics. One is applied statistics. And statistical methods means it is a mathematical statistics or the theory of statistics, where we use statistics in order to make various kinds of decisions. And applied statistics means where in which and all area we apply statistics. There some of the branches were there. Which are the branches of applied statistics? That is biometry, demography, stylometry, then some other branches called actuarial science. So those are the branches of statistics. Econometrics, in which field we use the statistics. That is the branches of applied statistics. Then we studied about the functions of statistics. Functions mean how it works, how the concept called statistics it works. The functions are, it has to be present in a definite form. It provides the opportunity of, it facilitates comparison. It simplifies us and condenses the size of the data. Then comes, it enriches or widens the experience, and it helps to prepare various kinds of policies, and it also helps to frame and test in the hypothesis. So these are the various kinds of functions of statistics. Then we studied the scope and applications of statistics. The scope and applications of statistics. Scope and applications means where do we use or where do we apply. Their first scope was in a state affairs, statistics in state, and statistics in business, then statistics in economics, then statistics in science. So we studied about scope and applications of statistics. Then we move towards the limitations of the statistics. Then we move towards the limitations of the statistics. Which are the limitations of statistics? It does not deal with the individual data. It does not deal with the qualitative data. And statistics should be used by expert. And we can get the result here only on an average. It cannot be accurate. And there should be a uniformity and homogeneity of data. We need to have a similar kind of data, homogeneous data, in order to apply statistics. So those are the limitations of statistics. Then we study the last concept, that is some basic concepts. Some basic concepts where we discuss some of the basic concepts called units or individuals, then universe or population, then samples, qualitative characteristics, quantitative characteristics, variables, attributes, qualitative data, quantitative data, and measurement of qualitative data. There comes nominal scale and ordinal scale. So with this we winded up with the first chapter, that is Introduction to Statistics. So this was a brief summary of that particular chapter, and you might have many doubts. You can clarify your doubts, and you have to, as I said, you have to have 200 pages of notes book, and whatever notes I will present here, whatever notes, the short notes, you can write it in that particular notes for your reference, and backside exercise questions you have to present. When we give in the form of worksheet, you have to present that questions, which questions are there in the exercise. You have to find the answers out of this, and you have to write the answers over there. Now with this we can wind up with the first chapter, Introduction to Statistics. Then in tomorrow's session we can move towards the second chapter, that is Organization of the Data.